Hello and welcome to Vahland. This is my first City Skylines YouTube series. I've been playing the game for a very long time, but this is the first city that I've decided to commit myself to making videos out of. So this is Vahland. It's a city in Germany. I want to take primarily inspiration from the German region of Franconia. So that means cities like Bamberg, Würzburg, and particularly for the purposes of this episode and the next couple episodes, Rothenburg of the Tauber, which is like this very beautiful, romantic city that is sitting over a river, Rothenburg ob the Tauber, over the Tauber. If you didn't catch that. I don't speak German, so I'm gonna have to ask for your forgiveness with the pronunciations, but I'm trying at least. So yeah, there's that. Rothenburg is very unique in that it is a medieval city that never really developed past a certain point in the 16th century. So around the 13th to the 16th century is when it experienced its peak. Then, as a consequence of the siege that took place during the 30 Years' War, the city sort of declined in its importance and went from one of the most populous cities in the empire to a kind of anomaly in Germany. I think there's only 3 cities left in Germany who retain their medieval walls. One of them is Nordlingen. I forget the other one, but there's only 3, and that makes Rothenburg very special in that regard. I'll talk about Rothenburg a little more in the next episodes where I actually start building the actual city. But right now, before I start talking about what's happening in the time-lapse, I just want to go over a few things for the series generally that I have planned. So starting with the music, I am going to be very careful to try and only use German music. So I think I chose for this episode some Johannes Brahms, and for the outro I found this really cute little German hiking song on YouTube. So yeah. You might have also noticed in the background there's already a little bit of city built. The story with that is I built that portion of the city probably about 2 months ago, but I spilled water on my PC and I lost it. I lost all of it. I lost the footage from the time lapse, and I lost also a big portion of my workshop. So I'm trying to piece it together. It's not perfect, but you know, that's kind of how it be right now. So unfortunately, I don't think I will come back to there. It's not a very good build. It's just some train station and some farmland around. There is one little part I like. I made some bee farms out of white boxes I found in the workshop. It's really cute, it's really nice, so I might go back and show that in another episode, but for now I don't have any plans to do that, unfortunately. I'd also like to talk a little bit about the coat of arms that you saw in the intro and also in the thumbnail, I think. It is my own, I made it, and I wanted to reflect the region of Vahland. So I'm planning to do 2 cities, 2 large cities at least. This being first here around the river, and then another one further down the map. There's a big river, which I guess if this is in Franconia, I guess that river is the Main. I want to have the walled city and then also a bigger sort of metropolitan capital. So on the coat of arms is a little castle, which is representing the walled city, And then there is a crossed keys, which is a symbol in medieval heraldry that represents the church. So this larger city, I'm thinking, was the seat of the archbishopry, the diocese here. So there is cross keys and then also a little cross up in the corner. And then, of course, the colors of Franconia are white and red, so those are the colors that I used for the coat of arms and the flag. I tried to stay in line with the rules of heraldry and sort of the conventions of German heraldry specifically. So to do that, I consulted Seibmacher's Wappenbuch, which is a very extensive sort of roll of arms of medieval German heraldry in the Holy Roman Empire. I had a lot of fun just looking through the coat of arms. It's probably like the lamest thing I've ever said in my entire life, but I'd recommend it if you're into that, I guess. So what I'm building here is a little village on the banks of the river. Just above this village is where I plan to build the city. So I wanted to fill out the scene, sort of, I guess, with some little nice houses and some farmland. This particular build might be a little too dense for the area. Like, there's maybe too many large houses. It feels more like a tiny city than a village, honestly, but I think it turned out fine. I'm using a lot of half-timbered houses, which were made by Titan on the workshop. A lot of really good assets from Titan, and just generally, I think I'm taking a lot of inspiration from his series Vedestein, so thank you for that, I guess. Quick shout out there. I'm also using his, his Umgebinden houses. Yeah, Umgebinden, I'm just gonna commit to that. Which are not particularly accurate for this part of Germany. They use a lot of wood, which isn't necessarily inaccurate for Franconia, but they are more in line with paneling than, as you see here, like these half-timbered sort of embellished details, which would be common for placed sort of in the middle of Germany. So they're fine assets. I'm probably the only person in the world who's annoyed by that, but it's fine. I also use these sort of Swiss chalet houses that you're seeing right now. They're fine assets, but I ended up removing them from the city just because they are a little too much of a stretch for me. These sort of like high gable roofs that sort of extend over the walls of the houses is more typical of sort of Upper Bavaria, Switzerland sort of deal, so not something you would find this far north. For the church, I based it off of this really cool medieval church from the 13th century, I think, in one of these villages. And there's like a little, gatehouse or something, like some sort of, like utility shed or something, I don't know, but I thought it was really cool, so I made a little church. There's also a little RV park for camping, I guess, right next to the village. I decided to omit that from my build just because I think RV parks are exceptionally ugly. I really don't like how they look. They're building one in my town right now, and it's turning this beautiful field into this ugly concrete abomination. I don't know. It's not is not good, so I decided just to leave it out. Not trying to diss you if you live in an RV park or own a recreational vehicle. I just don't like how they look. So yeah, sorry. As you can probably guess, there's a lot of greenery in these little rural hamlets, especially around the river. I tried to replicate that by placing some bushes and some trees all around these little farms. Yeah, it's obviously still a bit of a rural area, so I did try to add some farm props and farm details, but I think generally these places are maybe a little depopulated. You know how young people are moving out and moving to the cities. Maybe a few are staying to work the farms, but I think generally it's a trend in these little sort of villages that old people stay to have a nice retirement, and young people generally leave to find opportunity and maybe rent their houses out for vacation homes in a very nice and idyllic part of Germany. So yeah. There are also a lot of these bridges around, really nice old bridges, stone bridges. I think you saw in the beginning of the video, I was kind of tinkering around with the best way to do it. In one of these little villages, there's like a little tiered bridge that I tried to replicate in the sort of stone bridge you see now, but I decided it was looked too weird, so I went for a more traditional look. I'm also adding the second one, which is not really based on anything. I just thought it looked kind of cool, and I put it on this, I don't know, I'm not really sure what this is. In one of the villages, there's like a tower. I think it might have been like a mill or something, or like a little fort. I don't know why they need a fort on a river like this. I guess you got guys going down the river in a canoe or something. I'm not sure, but yeah, I think this asset is a prison on the workshop, so maybe not that, but yeah, I think it looks kind of cool. I also like this little trick I did with the Mac Welshman's rural trails. You can see sort of leading off into the bridges there. It sort of acts like a bridge between the bridge and the road. You see the asphalt is kind of pulled in a very natural way towards the path, and then connecting it up with little decals was easy enough, and it turned into a nice bridge between the asphalt road and the rest of the path. I'm also starting to work on the sort of elevation change here in the river. So it doesn't really show up much in the video, but there's a considerable drop where I imagine there would be some rapids or some fast moving water. But before that, I decided to, I guess, smooth out this bank with some rocks. It's a little too jarring for how I wanted it. I think the whole area is a little too steep. I probably should have gone over and changed it a bit, but I don't know. Working with water in City Skylines is just such an issue, so I decided not to change it that much. However, the terrain change from the road to the banks of the river, as you can see there, is a big issue. So I did decide that I had to dress it up a little bit so that it looked a little more convincing. So the highlight of this episode, I think, is the sort of river effect I achieved, where the elevation change happens, which I think I'm going to start to work on in a little bit. Yeah. So I use these waterfall animations and turn them on their side so that it sort of emulates rapids effect, and then also manipulating it with procedural objects just to smooth it out a little bit. Don't think I'm the first person to do this, but I was really proud of how this turned out. I thought it looked very nice, especially when it's unpaused and the water is actually moving. It's very, very cool. I tried to put in some foam decals, but they were just a bit too big and they didn't really sit on top of the water like, you know, how foam is supposed to. And the textures were sort of interfering with the rocks as well, too. So I just decided not to keep them in. I really do hope that they fix water physics in City Skylines 2. I haven't actually bought the game because I really don't have any interest in playing City Skylines without mods. I think when the workshop in City Skylines 2 is a little more filled out, I'll look into it, but yeah. I hope they add like a water physics patch or something like that, you know. I don't think anybody is actually interested in getting more assets from Paradox Interactive, you know. The workshop already has plenty of those, so just fixing the mechanics of the game, I think should be a priority for them. Like, I mean, they look better, the in-game assets for City Skylines 2, they look better than CS1, but I mean, come on, like, you can do better, you know. Yeah, anyway, I'll stop talking about that a little bit. It's not that I don't appreciate the new assets from the game, but I just think that there's so many talented people in the workshop and they are just so much better at making these assets than the actual City Skylines developers. I don't know, it's just not something that I'm particularly interested in from Paradox Interactive. But anyway, getting back to the city, I am coming back to replace some of these assets and sort of filling it out with more buildings, I guess you could say. This area that I'm building right now, I guess it could be like maybe, I don't know, like Main Street or something. I'm not really sure. It's kind of American thing, but I guess whatever the German equivalent of that would be, that's what this area is in front of the church. I also tried to add some more like rural looking assets, like that barn that I put next to the church, and these really nice dwarf house set from Acapulco, which are really the only sort of village-like buildings that are on the workshop, except for I also use here, oh yeah, I start to place them here at some of Vanya's collection that were done with Paradox Interactive, I think. Just sort of a collaborative effort, which are very nice too. I'm trying to place these buildings in a sort of disorganized fashion, so maybe not exactly flush against the road. This seems to be how a lot of these small places look. And particularly with the road, sidewalks are not present really at all. There's such a small amount of traffic going through these small places that it's not really necessary. So I took a lot of care to try and make this place look like it was not particularly organized or given to a sort of city plan. You know, it has the feeling of some place that has been here for a very long time, and I imagine it has been for a very long time. I told you about that church. It was built in the 1200s. That's wild, right? I mean, this place has been continuously inhabited for maybe upwards of 800 years at least, you know? I think that's generally applicable to building anywhere in Europe. Really, I think a lot of issue that people have with making a convincing old town or anything like that is just you have to make the building just a little disorganized, you know, get a little loose with how you're placing houses, you know. You know, every building doesn't need to be directly on a road. I think often what I do when I'm building an old town is I just start with the buildings and have the roads after, which doesn't make a lot of intuitive sense, but if you do it like this, you are a lot more likely to have a unique sort of layout than if you were to build the roads first and structure your city around them instead. Building around roads, I think also inherently negates a lot of the density that is common in cities like this. So City Skylines has a really nasty habit of making roads very, very wide, and that contributes to, I think, a lack of realism, especially in the density of cities and city skylines. So it is okay to maybe suggest a road instead of actually building one, just because it will be functional either way, and you are sort of getting the same result without the big, ugly piece of asphalt in front of your beautiful old town. So yeah, don't be afraid to build your cities around pedestrians instead of vehicles, is I guess what I'm trying to say. You can of course have portions of your city that are built for cars, especially in European cities. They tend to have ring roads, you know, around where the old city fortifications were, but it is very easy to go overboard with roads, especially for smaller projects like this, you know. Shouldn't be too many. I don't really have that much else to say. I think I'll just leave you with some music until I have something to talk about, and so yeah. Did you like that? I did. I enjoyed it while I'm editing here. I think that's Brahms's, might be the 17, number 17 Hungarian dance. I'm not sure which movement it is, but yeah, I hope this video isn't too boring. I don't really have a script or any like points I'm trying to go through, so I don't blame you if you're skipping through the video looking for the cinematic. I do that sometimes too, it's okay. Yeah. Anyway, I'm starting to make these little farms, which is, I'm doing it with a technique that I stole from a video that I am barely recollecting from about like 6 years ago by Taser here, I think. It's a really good technique with these little mud assets or mud decals. I really like how these farm field assets look. They aren't particularly malleable with procedural objects. There is a farm field network which I've been trying to use, but they get a little, I don't know, they get a little wonky with the terrain because they are not terrain conforming, so these farm props are good enough for now. Well, I like how they look. I think maybe I'm a little dissatisfied with the way I did the angles of the farms. I'm pretty sure that there are ways to get the decals and the props to more perfectly fit the dimensions of the roads, but for now this is the best I could do. Which is fine. I like how it turned out. They're more for the background anyway. I don't think we'll be going and looking at this up close anytime soon. But yeah, that's fine. So coming now closer to the end of the video, I hope you liked it. I will try to make the next episode soon. I've already started building the thing I'm going to be making. So yeah, I don't really have a schedule. It's sort of just a fun thing that I want to do before I go to college. So I have it done on my own time. I'll figure it out. I don't think anybody really cares that much, but I hope you stick around for it because I really like making these so far. So yeah, thank you. Goodbye.
Halli, hallo, wir fahren in die Welt. Halli, hallo, wir fahren in die Welt. Aus grauer Städte Mauern ziehen wir durch Wald und Feld. Wer bleibt, der mag versauern. Wir fahren in die Welt. Halli, hallo, wir fahren